Hello, everyone. Welcome to my living room. Today I'm talking about sudden versus expected deaths and the kind of grieving that goes along with both of those. I will start by giving a little bit of an overview of the two um, deaths that I'll be comparing. Um, the first one I'm going to talk about is my dad, who I discussed in my video Grieving While Pregnant. Um, so that explains a lot of how I feel in regards to finding out I was pregnant when he was sick. But he went into the hospital in like late September, and then he passed away December 30th. So it was a quick expected death, so to speak. It wasn't, years long. Once he was sick, he was sick. So that is the expected death I'll be talking about. Um, I'm going to call it sudden death because it wasn't unexpected, and that was my sister's suicide. Obviously, it was sudden, but it wasn't unexpected. She had been sick with bipolar for, well, at that point, nearly 15 years um, that we knew what was going on. So was very open about her desire to kill herself, um, that she didn't want to be alive, and she lived the fuck out of her life while she was alive. But she was always very clear on how and eventually where she wanted to do it. So it wasn't unexpected, but it was out of the blue, um, especially for me because I was living out of the country and I hadn't been around her much in the last, 2, 3 years just from living in another country. So those are the two people in my life. Even though my dad was expected, he was still only 66. So they're both, and my sister was 26. Um, and they're about 11 years apart, the two deaths. Um, and so I feel like they were both before their time. It's still all sinking in for us. It's been 3 months, so it's still very fresh. Anyone that's experienced a death of an immediate family member, a spouse, um, especially when it's kind of before their time. This isn't your grandma who is 85. This is someone that had a lot of life left. And my dad was very vibrant. Like I said, he was still working part time. He was, washing the car, waxing the car, doing my yard work, doing his yard work. I mean, he was a very energetic person. That's what makes it even harder to think he was so sick and we didn't even know it, and he didn't even know it until, there was that straw that broke the camel's back that day, and he wasn't the same after. Like I explained in my other video, he had renal cancer that was in his brain. He'd had it previously. He thought he was cancer free for 5 years. We thought that he was safe. Renal cancer really sucks ass. Basically, removal is your only option. Um, they did do radiation on his head, but radiation doesn't really work for renal cancer. It was just kind of one of them things that you do just in case of a miracle. He was just gradually deteriorating, but it wasn't as gradual as other people. It was only over 4 months, but it seemed like forever. And then when he passed, the next couple of weeks were so lonely. I'd never spent that much time with my dad in my whole life. And although I wanted him to be at peace and I wanted the pain to go away and I wanted him to be comfortable, I wanted him back. I was like, I don't care if you're laying in a hospital bed, I just want you. And that's so selfish, but I thought I wanted him to be at peace, but then it was like, I'd rather be sitting in the hospital now than not. I just, it was like all of a sudden I wasn't working because I couldn't. Um, while he was sick, and it was like so quiet. And all of a sudden, I didn't have to run anywhere. I didn't have any place I needed to be or thing I needed to worry about. It was all over. And so at first it was, like I said, adjusting to not being running around crazy busy all the time. And then I already had this kind of feeling of, why him? Um, he had such a clean living. He rode his bike to work every day and he didn't drink or smoke or anything like that. He ate relatively well. And so now it's figuring out, like, what do I do? I'm so used to going to my dad for that. I'm so used to getting his opinion and feeling safe by taking his opinion or advice. I trusted him so much with so many things that I didn't even realize. Um, so it's getting used to my dad not being sick anymore. My dad's just gone now. And that's the major adjustment. Feeling angry at people that, got over their cancer, you know, because that's just how you feel. Um, everyone wants to be a miracle story. And I knew when he got sick again, it wasn't, you know, and I knew it was it. I just knew, um, because of the type of cancer it was and where it was. So it's like loneliness and anger. Um, I see a lot of old men walking down the street, and I just don't understand. So there's a lot of anger and self pity. And I had a long time of getting used to the idea that he's not going to be here indefinitely, for the foreseeable future. Um, I'll tell him I love him every single day and not have it be weird. Hug him every single day and he couldn't, run away from me. So that's what I'm experiencing with that. I'm grateful that I knew, that I could say things, that he could say things, that we could spend that time together that we never really spent before. That was great. That was great. It wasn't like good times, but it's a lot better than the alternative. And the alternative is not being able to say goodbye